It's welcome to Stephen Warnock, Stephen.
So I messaged Carl and said, good job I've got a 50-inch telly because Sam's head's just only just fitting on it. So his natural position is centre midfield and he's become a world-class right back off just learning on the job.
I think he'll come off the bench and he'll score.
You love Cole Palmer's #1 fan this season.
There's no one else in the world can hit a pass like him. The only ones I'd probably say is De Bruyne.
Final question for today, a score prediction for England versus Serbia. And we're back! Welcome to No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill, and we are here with you throughout the Euros. We've had a 2-week break and we are back. How are you, Sam?
Absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to the start of the Euros, and of course what we have on our left is the final squad that Gareth has picked, which we're going to discuss over the next hour or so, which I'm looking forward to.
And we're going to get your starting 11.
Starting 11, that's okay, yeah.
For the Serbia game. And we have a special guest, as always, on the pod today. Would you like to introduce him?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to introduce a player who played for me at Blackburn Rovers when I was manager, of course, who played a massive, massive part in getting them out of trouble when I first joined. I think we were, I don't know, second from bottom in December, and by the end of the season came, we'd got out of trouble. Next season, I think we finished 10th, and then from the club's point of view, financially, I had to lose him to what was a great club and a great move for him, which was Aston Villa. So it's welcome to Stephen Warnock. Stephen.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Be interesting. See who Sam picks.
I always like it when we have a guest who's worked with Sam, because generally it means they're going to have some good stories. So, what was he like as a gaffer?
Do you know what? It was interesting when Sam first come in. There was a conception about him that is long ball football and things like that. And I remember going into the first meeting, and there was myself, Andre Uya, and we had this Australian guy who's a bit of a tough nut, Vince Grella. And he was a tough lad, but he was a footballer as well. He come from Italy, Australian, Italian. And we all walked into this meeting thinking, oh, what are we going to get out of this? And all walked out and went, what a guy. Within one meeting. And straight away and thought, he'll do for us, like we'll do well under him, because he broke the game down in a certain way. I think you've worked with Sam for long enough now to know that he can hold a room, he can talk, and the way he speaks in meetings was very impressive straight away. And I think myself and Sam got on extremely well, both on and off the pitch. We had a good relationship, and I think that was everything to me, was that I had a manager who come in who believed in me as well. I think sometimes as well, you get honesty with Sam. Yeah. Tells it how it is, and that's what people want, and that's what you need in football. So no, it was good. It was probably the best times of my career playing under Sam. It was enjoyable.
Well, that's very nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks.
It's a good start.
Yeah, am I blushing up now?
He is a little bit there.
I think that it's always been a learning curve for me as the years go on, and when you've done your apprenticeship from the bottom to the top, when you get there, and how do you get there, and how do you stay there, you're constantly changing your tactics, the way you manage, and learn from those past experiences and what you're going to do. And I think that going into a crisis club like Blackburn with the experience that they had was about all managing the players. Yes, the tactics all players know about the tactics when you're playing in the Premier League. All players, you can give the information, will take it in. That's why they're playing in the Premier League. But if you marry that up with man management, which is probably one of my biggest strengths, then you get a pull together, like you mean. So you can be, some managers can be distant from the players. It's up to them how you choose to do it. And me, I like to be in amongst it, as he well knows. Players could look around at me when I first got them, and I'm taking the mickey out of them and going, can I really answer him back? Or why is he saying that to me? Yeah. And all I'm doing is joining in. I'm joining in with the banter. I'm joining. I don't mind, a bit of stick myself, like you mean. And I think that builds relationships and builds confidence and builds a desire for us all to do well together and all win together. You know what I mean? That's me. You know. So
Is that how you saw it? Is that how the players saw it?
Yeah. I remember there was one time when I was you were with Carl Robinson and
Yeah.
we were at a Hull game
Yeah.
and we were playing Hull the following weekend, and it came up on the telly, picture of Sam and Carl at the game. So I messaged Carl and said, "Good job, I've got a 50-inch telly because Sam's head's only just fitting on it." So next thing is the phone goes and it's Sam and he's going, "Oh, you!" hammers me down the phone. And we come in the next morning and he pulls a meeting with everyone round it and he goes, "Right, first thing we've got to address, you, what are you saying about my head?" And straight away, and all the lads are just in bulk laughing because, like he says, wanted to be involved in it. But the other thing I remember was, I don't know if you remember this as well, in Blackburn, when you walk in, you'd walk past the reception and they had like a tannoy system and you could announce the whole thing.
Oh, we've heard about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he'd sit there hammering people. Like Jason Roberts used to come in with Ugg boots on and a suit, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he'd be like, you'd see him getting out of his car and he'd make an announcement on the thing. Jason Roberts about to walk in, look at his clothes and all this. And straight away, like all the lads are just howling. He'd hammer everyone coming in.
They've
But
still
it was
got it,
just
you
like,
know. We had
have
Sammy
they?
Smodics on a few weeks ago and
Yeah.
they've still got it.
It's superb. But does the manager sit there hammering?
I don't think so, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
no, it was good though. We that was the one thing as well. Like the team spirit when Sam come in was like something that he realised straight away was that had to be built on. And yeah, there's a few stories about how you build team spirit and what you do. But yeah, it's I don't think you can probably get away with it now as much with the team nights out because of phones and things like that.
No, you can't.
But we just used to we were out not all the time, but we had it was interesting. I was speaking to someone about this yesterday and saying the year Liverpool won the Champions League when we won at Istanbul, we didn't have a real team togetherness. It was like we had a team of individuals who Gerrard basically pulled us through it.
Yeah.
But when I went to Blackburn, I couldn't believe the team spirit. Couldn't believe how together it was and the amount of nights out we'd have as teams and things like that. Or event like things where you go out paintballing or just do go-karting or something. Just like little important things that you don't really think are important until you look back on it and you go, do you know what, that's how you build a team spirit and that's how you build a togetherness.
Love
So
it.
it was good.
You went paintballing as a team?
Yeah.
Did you paintball, Sam?
I can't remember if I did.
Wouldn't have missed your head.
Right, before we go on to talk about the Euros, there's a couple of football things that have happened in the last 12 hours. Apparently Ten Hag is going to get a new contract at Manchester United. Are you surprised or what do you think?
I'm surprised a new contract and not surprised to say he's got a contract and we'll say put him under pressure. I don't mind being put under pressure by saying if you don't, you know, I remember at West Ham thinking keeping him up's all right. Finished 10th in the first year, and then we finished 11th in the second year, and they called me and said that's not good enough. And I thought, well, that's quite strange. Like when you first come, you said like what do you want and get us up, keep us up. So putting you under pressure is probably a good thing. And I'd have said there's a new contract there for you if you work the right way and see where we go. And everybody can speculate on players thinking are they going to play for him because they know he's in his last year and so on and so forth. We get all this speculation all the time, but the bottom line is the players don't do it for you, you won't get a contract. If the players do it for you, you'll get a contract. So the players can determine on keeping any manager when they want to and decide to. And some players have in the past got rid of managers. And some players have promoted managers to greater heights, got them new contracts by the fact that the relationship, as we talk about, combines together and they start getting the manager starts getting the best out of the players, whichever way he chooses, and the players respond to that. Big pressure, Man United, massive, and big pressure on the players, big pressure, and can they handle it? And if they can handle it, it gets him a new contract.
We also want to say at the start of the show as well today about send all our love to Alan Hansen. Obviously, the news there that Liverpool put a statement out, so we send all our love and hope that he pulls through and hope that he's well and yeah, all our thoughts with him there.
Correct.
Right, let's go on to Euros. So, we are filming this on Wednesday. It starts on Friday. How excited are you?
Do you know what? I only get excited when the first game sort of kicks off.
What a game.
I know, what a game it is as well. Yeah. But I think, obviously, the build-up is, it's starting to ramp up now. I'm working on a few of the games myself, so I'm starting to sort of look through notes and start to see things. But yeah, it's when that first whistle blows for me, that first kick-off, and you go, right, now we're at it. Now it's going to be game after game. Then you start to look at what game's coming next and who you want to watch and keep your eye on. But I don't know whether you're the same as me. I'm always looking at who's the next star coming through. Who's the one that you want to keep your eye on? Who's the next player that perhaps we haven't seen as much of, who plays in a different league? And will we see them in the Premier League in the next year?
Have you got your eye on then?
I haven't yet. The one player I love watching more than anyone at the moment is Musiala for Bayern Munich in Germany. I mean, he is just phenomenal, and I can't wait to see whether this is going to be his tournament, because I think it's going to be Musiala, Bellingham, and probably Mbappe, because of that move to Real Madrid. And I think they're the three players who probably will light it up.
Musiala's what, 21?
Yeah,
That's
he's a
something
baby,
he's still
isn't he?
like really young.
Yeah, but I've watched him now about 4 or 5 times. I've been out to Germany, to Munich,
He's
covering
not as good
games.
as Bellingham.
Oof.
No.
Different type of player.
Yeah, no,
But I like him. I really like him.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I mean, what's Bellingham? 20,
Yeah.
Is he 20? Yeah.
21,
20.
and look what he's done already. Like I mean, so.
Oh.
But one thing you don't do. This is not me. This is Sir Alex when I spoke to him, like in his height at Man United. Never buy a player after an international competition who's done the best,
Yeah.
Why?
because they normally let you down more than anybody else. And everybody speculates about somebody that's stood out in a European or a World Cup competition.
Yeah.
And he said that the amount of flops that happened when they bought from that tournament into the football club at inflated prices.
One of our mates, Eladj Diouf.
Jufi, yeah.
He was one of them, wasn't he, at Liverpool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of players will want to go in, I think, to the Euros at every country and impress to try and get to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Unless you're already with Bayern Munich or Barcelona or Real Madrid or, in Italy, Juventus, places like that. The rest will want to try and get to the Premier League and impress.
Stephen, of course, you were in the World Cup squad in 2010 under Fabio Capello.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was it like to be in that World Cup bubble?
There's some stories about Fabio.
It was one of those situations. I was probably one of them names now, if you were doing the squad announcement where it would have been, he won't make the squad. I was like the one who was the surprise to get in there ahead of Leighton Baines. I didn't play any of the warm-up games leading into the World Cup. I played 7 minutes of football for England leading into that World Cup.
You get a cap for that?
No. What, for the 7 minutes? Oh, yeah, you get a cap for that. But I thought,
No,
you don't get a cap
an
for
England cap.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't have to say you played 7 minutes to anybody. You just say, look at my England cap.
I know. So I was that player. So for me, I was one of them. I was like front row ticket in the changing rooms, get to train with the players. I knew my role. I was sat behind Ashley Cole, the best left back in the world. I mean, between us, we've got 109 caps, but he's got 107 of them. So
he is difficult to replace.
That is the problem.
He's probably one of the best left backs you've ever had, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my role. I knew I was never going to play at the World Cup unless Ash got injured, and then that was probably the opportunity. But he never got injured. It was difficult in the respect of where the camp was. We were literally in a self-built. It was a purpose-built complex for the World Cup, and we got put in this area. And there was nothing around it. We couldn't go anywhere. Sun City was probably
cabin
about...
fever.
Yeah. Sun City was about half an hour away. And we got to the point where we were like, we need to go and play golf there. Like, get us out, just get us out. So a lot of the players' wives who'd gone over were staying in Sun City. So it got to the point where every couple of days we were allowed to go out to Sun City, and some of them would see the wives, some would play golf and things like that. And it was cabin fever. You're just on top of each other all the time. So when we actually got out the group and you started to move about a little bit more, that was fine then.
So we're going to have a look now at the squad, at the depth, and they've just got a left-back headache.
Yeah, it is a big problem. I was really surprised that he's opted to go with Gomez and Trippier as the left-back options. I know they cover both sides, so I understand the versatility.
Who else would you have had then, Steve?
Mitchell from
Palace.
From Palace. Yeah. I think he's been outstanding.
Ended up being the whole Palace team.
Yeah, I know, yeah. but I think if you're going off form and you're putting in Eze and you're putting in Wharton, from what they've done in the last 6 months or since the new manager's come in, I'd look at it and go, Mitchell should 100% be in there. The only thing is that he's been playing as a wing-back, and I think he's better as a wing-back than a full-back. But I think on form, I think you had to put him in if it's going on form.
The only danger that I can see him, probably why he hasn't picked Mitchell, is the amount of inexperience in that squad.
Yeah.
So you've got Dunk, hasn't played that much for England, even though he's 30 now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Konsa, Guy, is it Guy?
Yeah.
Guy, not played that much.
Yeah.
Wharton, you know.
Mainu as well.
Mainu.
Yeah.
Eze, Palmer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
You know, they're all in. If they've played, they're all in single figures, and that can, under a tournament pressure, be a bit of a worry.
But do you not think, even from a balance point of view, from a left back?
I agree.
I mean,
he's
if I'm
left-footed,
yeah,
because of his being naturally left-footed. I agree.
If you're Foden or Gordon and you're starting on that side, and you're full-back every single time, whether it's Trippier or Gomez, if Shaw's not playing, wants to come inside, the right full-back on that side's made up because he knows he can't hit a ball over you. He can only hit a ball over your head, really. So it changes the dynamic of how you defend, but it also changes the dynamic of how Gordon and Foden have to play as well.
It's interesting talking about the fullback as well, because the thing that stands out for me at the minute, and when we put this board together, the producers, the production staff, immediately put Trent in the middle there.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Liverpool every game last season.
Yeah.
I watched the big games and the highlights. Is Trent playing in midfield more than he is playing as a fullback these days? Are we just accepting that he's a midfielder now?
Yeah, well, I think he was called into the squad, in Gareth's squad, when he separated it into defenders. They put him in the midfield, so that's probably why he's being put into the midfield area. He's just played as the inverted fullback, which Pep's done for years. He's played that role and gone into midfield. He's never really played as a midfielder and not pulled back out into that fullback position.
So he's not started as a midfielder?
No, I think there's been one game where he might have started. But
he started in midfield for England, hasn't he?
Pardon?
Has he?
Started a game in midfield for England.
Yeah, he's played there. He played there last season. They tried him in there last season, didn't they? And I understand why people are looking at it saying that's not his natural position. But he grew up as a centre midfielder, and Klopp put him in as a right back when he was coming through at Liverpool. So his natural position is centre midfield, and he's become a world-class right back off just learning on the job. But if you actually said to him, "Where's your position?" he'd tell you it's centre mid.
His weakest point is defending.
Defending, I knew you were going to say that, yeah.
That's his weakest point, which is it's difficult to think that Jurgen Klopp's been at Liverpool for such a long time, and Trent Alexander, fantastic, absolutely brilliant player, brilliant on the ball, can thread a 60-yard ball as good as anybody doing a 15 or 20-yard. That's the quality of his passing. But I haven't seen his defending get any better. And one day he had a bad time with all the injuries. He got exposed more than he'd ever done. Because if you played for Liverpool in that 3-year period, you hardly ever had to defend. Bit like Wes Brown when he came and said, 60% of the games you don't have to defend at Man United. You know, it was the same with Liverpool that year. But that part of his game never really got exposed until the year they got a lot of injuries and started losing football matches for the first time, he sort of got exposed, and then he got slaughtered.
Yeah.
And I think you're thinking to yourself, what? And then it's like, I'm glad he's over. It looks like he's overcome that by he can play fullback, but he can also play in centre midfield. And people will say he won't be as effective as Bellingham. He won't be effective as Rice because he's not a midfield player. They don't know. Keep your mouth shut. You don't know.
Keep your mouth shut.
He played in midfield when I asked him to.
Yeah.
Now, if he says I don't want to play in midfield, I say I'm asking you to play midfield. It's your fault. It's not your fault. It's my fault. If it doesn't go well, it's my fault. I'll take the stick. I'll take the can. But you might enjoy playing there.
Yeah.
So you drop a player somewhere else, and then eventually, I remember converting Ricardo Gardner, Bolton Wanderers left winger, come from Jamaica, played 15 years for Bolton Wanderers, unbelievable. We converted him into a left back for the last 3 seasons. So when I said, right, you're playing on the left, Ricardo, no, Gaff, I don't want to play there anymore. I want to play left back. So you can change a player's opinion on how comfortable he feels. If he comes to you and says, I'm not comfortable there, he goes, well, please just do me a job. I'm struggling with injuries or whatever it might be. We played, we didn't have a centre forward and we were trying to stay up at Blackburn. And then Chris Sambers speaking to me and he goes, do you know, Gaffer, I played up front when I was a kid. So we had Benny McCarthy were injured, Rocky Santa Cruz were injured, Jason Roberts was injured. So I said to Chris, you can play up front now. And he went, what? I said, you can play up front. He's 6'4" centre forward, centre half, 6'4" centre half. So he goes up front like me.
Did he score any goals?
No, but he made a load. Absolutely made. Honest to God, he made a load. It's like that. I was going out. What's it like up there? He says, it's too much like Ardworth, Gaffer. Kept me back there. But just for the time being, because he'd said, as a kid, I played up front. I just thought, well, have a go at that again, like you mean. So you can put players in different positions. Some it suits and some it doesn't.
So then, are you starting Trent in the Serbia game? We're going to get you full 11, but are you partnering him with Declan Rice?
I am, yeah. I just don't think you can't because of his passing range.
The only other option would be Conor Gallagher because he's played a lot for Chelsea as captain and played that position. So, but I would think Trent Alexander. This is no disrespect to Conor because he's got a lot of other strengths that Trent hasn't got. But it's a team you're going to have to break down. Yeah. And I think with Trent's passing ability, that they could, break that down.
I think if it's a team that you need to dig in against, you pick Gallagher or Mainu. But if it's a team you want to break down, you pick Trent because you need that ability to slow a game down or to change it within an instant with a pass that just picks someone out. I think the other thing as well, when we were talking about Trent as well before, is what I hope doesn't happen is, say if he plays in the first game and it doesn't quite go his way, but we see flashes of it, he's still got to build a relationship where Harry Kane, Bellingham probably, they're the two that'll probably start in them positions. They've got to understand what he's capable of and how he can pick a ball out. They might start making other runs that they're thinking, I can make different types of runs here because no other player in the world can pick out these passes. I've seen him hit passes that I think there's no one else in the world can hit a pass like him. The only ones I'd probably say is De Bruyne. That's his level of passing. When you look at a player and you say, what is his capability? Wow. He's a De Bruyne type with his passing. Is
the time though in a tournament for that to bed into to do that in a tournament?
I think so. I absolutely think so because you're now training with the players every single day for a 4-week period, say, or you've already done 2 weeks. I think absolutely. I think if you've got that level of intelligence as well, which Kane and Bellingham will have, and then the wide players, whoever plays in the wide positions, they'll understand. I'm making this run because I know he can pick it out.
You mentioned the wide players there. That's another really interesting point because if you look at the sort of depth that England have got in those positions, I mean, you're going to presume that Saka's going to start, I guess. But for you, who are your wide players? And again, are you playing Foden out wide?
See, I'm going to go controversial here. I'd pick him over Saka.
Ooh!
Foden. I'd have Foden on the right. I think it's his best position. I know he likes the 10, but I think he's more effective off the right than he is off the left.
Is he?
I like him centrally. I think a lot of City players would say that. I think this season...
But would you sacrifice Bellingham in that position and put Foden there?
I don't know.
So that's where I think...
you wouldn't. You've got to play Bellingham.
I think you're right. I think the sad thing is for Phil Foden is that he's going to be judged on playing on the left or the right. And he's not... He's strong. I mean, we've seen his stronger position in a 3 in midfield.
Yeah.
And we've seen how many goals and how many runs he makes from there. And then it's a bit like fitting square pegs into round holes here. While he can play there, he hasn't been as effective for Man City or for England by that. And then people pick on him. What's wrong with Foden? You mean?
So how do you fit him in the middle with Bellingham? Can you?
Well, you could always do Bellingham next to Declan Rice, where he started a lot. It's only moved in there like Real Madrid.
He plays as a false 9 for Real Madrid, doesn't he? That sort of 10-stroke centre forward.
But of course, then
Did you take away his goals?
Can he? I mean, the disappointing thing with Iceland is not just the loss. They didn't score a goal. With all the goal scorers we've got in there, which we talked about in the last podcast, Foden 20 odd there, Bellingham, was it 20 odd? Bowen at West Ham got 15, 16. Saka's into double figures.
Palmer.
Yeah, Palmer. You know what I mean? It's like Harry.
Watkins. Yeah.
There's so many goals there. We should be ramping up against teams like this is big. We should be ramping up an easy win against Serbia, 2 or 3 with those. If those lads hit the sort of form that they do for the club, and that's down to can they break down a Serbia team that's probably going to put 11 behind the ball, and how do you do it?
So it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're all talking about the midfield area and who's going to play where. Declan Rice is actually altering his position. He doesn't play holding midfielder for Arsenal.
No, I don't know.
But suddenly we're saying, he's our holding midfielder for England. He plays as like the wide of the 8. He plays as the left of the 3, doesn't he? And goes forward and is more advanced than he was at West Ham.
So why are we doing that then? Because
he played more. He played nearly. I mean, listen, he started as a centre half.
Yeah.
So when we talk about change of position, he was all the way through his West Ham years. He was centre back. And all his first team games started at centre back. Injury problem in midfield, just got pushed in there, never looks back. He's one of the very few players that advances his position going forward. Normally, you start moving back the way as you get older.
Yes.
He's gone from centre half to centre midfield, to attacking centre midfield.
Yeah.
So there's still not much of a problem about him playing holding, because of the other players he's got to play with.
Yeah.
Because Bellingham's better than him at that more advanced position, you'd agree.
Yeah.
I think Foden is.
Yeah.
And he is the best holding midfield player we actually got. So it's that.
So he's there because he's the best that England have got, not that's his
in that
best
position.
Yeah.
And he's used to playing that position, even though he's moved forward and enjoyed it with Arsenal playing a different position. But that's your communication, isn't it? About like what the manager wants, what the players want, and it's a hugely difficult job when you've got too much talent.
Hey, I've got no sympathy. Can I just say?
Well,
no. I've got no sympathy.
Be sleeping that well.
I've got poor old Steve Clark who doesn't know who's going to play up front at the minute. No. Someone's getting chucked up there.
Well, he can always play with a false number 9 and nobody, can't he? Like, I mean, so I mean. There's a lot to be said for not playing with a centre forward. I've done it many.
Well, yes, Scotland have done it for years and years and years. Just hoping that Shankland is not injured.
Just play counter-attacking football. But when we get back to England, the interesting thing is whichever 11 is picked, it's how they start.
Right, before we do the starting 11s, one name in that squad who maybe we're not talking about yet, but might end up being like the has the wow moment, has the standout moment, makes it their sort of tournament?
I'm gonna go Eza.
Think he'll come on and
I think he's gonna start on the bench and then become a mainstay.
Palmer.
I think he's going to have that much of an impact that they're not going to be able to not play him.
Palmer for
I love
me.
that. And is that similar for you? You think he'll come off the bench? We'll find out in a minute.
I think he'll come off the bench and he'll score.
You love Cole Palmer's #1 fan this season. Oh, Sam. Right, we're going to take a break for just a second while we jiggle the board around. If you're listening to the podcast, we have a big whiteboard in front of us with all the names of the squad. Sam is going to put on now his starting 11 for the Serbia game. So this is Big Sam's starting 11 for the Serbia game. So Sam, can you talk us from the back through your 11?
This is my favourite system. Wherever I've been, whatever club I've played for, I've always eventually tried to. I've played lots of systems, obviously, but this has always been my favourite system. And obviously you've got to have the players to go with it, like you mean. And I just think that based on the opposition, Serbia, and the fact that we have to probably break that down, I've gone in terms of just the one older midfield player with Declan Rice, and the back four is if Shaw's fit. Everybody says, well, he has hardly played. If he's fit, he needs to play because he needs to get some game time under his belt. Look, Serbia are not the most or the strongest side in the Euros, so putting him in there, then as a manager's head, 45 minutes, an hour, off he comes, substitute comes on, carries on. That's giving some game time and hopefully giving the opportunity for England to win this game. Stones, I couldn't risk Luke Shaw and Stones together because of injury doubts about them. So Gear and Konsa to play together. I think that they just need to focus on making sure they don't switch off because I think England are going to dominate the game. Carl Walker's everybody's cup of tea. I mean, the man's just a genius in terms of what he's got in his locker, how he plays the game, what an inspiration I think he is. Declan Rice, super keeping the ball, retaining the ball. And then in front of that is where the real talent is, hopefully, to break down Serbia are going to defend. And there's goals galore. Foden, Bellingham, Gordon, Saka, Kane. So it depends how we get that ball in their box and how we penetrate the opposition to create the chances to score. So that's my first 11. So, of course, the pick, never lets himself down, never lets England down.
So that's Sam's starting 11. Stephen, if you were making any changes to that, what would yours be?
I think it'll probably be Rice and Alexander-Arnold. I've moved Bellingham just in behind Harry Kane.
Are you thinking what Gareth will do, or are you thinking?
Yeah, what would you do?
Oh no, I'd get Trent in the team.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I'd put him alongside Declan Rice. I'd put Bellingham in behind Harry Kane so they can interchange. I'd put Foden on the right-hand side.
Instead of Saka?
Yeah. And then I think Foden and Saka would end up fighting it out for the rest of the tournament off that right-hand side. And then I'd probably start with Anthony Gordon or Eza on that side. I just think Anthony Gordon will probably start. I'll probably start him to start with. And then I'd bring Eza on and have him as an impact player from that side. Back four, don't think you can really change too much. Obviously, once John Stones is fit, I think he comes in. I think there'll be a question mark over whether it'll be Gahey or Dunk on that side. But
I like Gahey.
I do as well.
What a find from Crystal Palace again.
Yeah.
When you look at the player, the talent they've got in that side, I love that place, by the way, when I manage them as well.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace, what a job they've done finding youngsters or picking youngsters up from other clubs and buying them in quickly.
Yeah.
And there's, two players that may have an impact in the Euros from Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
So if you things are maybe in a later game, a couple of games in.
If Stephen had his way, he'd have Mitchell in there as well.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Oh, Palace
You know what I
throughout.
mean?
Yeah,
so, you know.
Palace fans must be like living in like joyland at the minute.
I think the big thing when I look at that team there, and we'll just go off this team, take out the goalkeeper because I don't count the goalkeepers in this because it's about fitness. Gahey and Shaw are the only two players who've missed a lot of game time this season. Gahey picked up an injury. We know Luke Shaw's been injured. If you look at every other player, Konza went on a cup run at Villa, both in the Europa League. So he's played a lot of games. Anthony Gordon played majority of Newcastle's games.
So
pretty much
everyone,
So if you look at all the players, they've all been hugely successful in runs in Champions League, in the club football. So they've played a lot of football. So I agree with Sam, like, you are going to have to change them because they will get fatigued. They'll run off adrenaline for the group stages, but once you get to the latter stages and you go on, mental fatigue comes into it because of the pressure that's on them. They'll need resting, they'll need rotating. And I think that's why Gareth's probably got so many forward players in them attacking, in the attacking areas to bring on the pitch so he can rotate it and change things up.
If you're watching on YouTube, let us know what your starting 11 for Serbia would be, what you think of Sam's and Stephen's thoughts as well. So we've got a couple
I can't see anybody picking the same team as one or another because there's that much
that
much talent to choose from. So I can't see the too many. They'll be similar, but there'll be subtle differences with everybody. I think here and there, like I mean. So it's a great topic. I think it's a great topic to talk about the quality and the talent of players that we're talking about, rather than actually saying, well, if we haven't got Shaw, we're struggling, or if we haven't got Bellingham, we shouldn't struggle because whoever replaces him, I think will do as good a job.
Love the positivity, absolutely. So we've got some quick fire questions for the end.
They're never at quick fire.
They're never quick, Stephen. It's just
She keeps insisting on the quick fire, but it never happens.
Not happened in 18 months. Okay, this might be a quick one. There was a question sent in on Twitter for you, wondering if the Wales job came up, is that something you'd be interested in?
A Wales job? Mm-hmm. Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. International football. It'd be nice.
I think that I'd like that because I think you'd be able to still do the pod.
Well, perhaps, and it depends on what they say. But when you're being employed by the Welsh FA, if they don't like the pod, we'd have to kick it into
I think you'd have the power for the negotiations there, Sam.
So we'd have to wait and see. But yes, it'd be nice.
Quick fire. There we go. Okay, there's a story about Sam giving Stephen and the Blackburn players his credit card once to enjoy a night out. Is this true? And if so, how much was the bill?
It is true. And it was in Croatia. I don't know what the bill was, but I think what the players understood was it was respectful. Yeah, it was be respectful.
It wasn't over exorbitant, like you mean. There was no champagne bought or anything like that. It was a thank you from me on overcoming what ended up being quite a difficult pre-season tour, which sadly for Blackburn Rovers was done on the cheap.
It was it was cheaper than your plane bill, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is that the trip where you got the plane back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was more expensive than that.
That was incredible.
But that went on club expenses though.
Yeah.
Whereas the drinking night out didn't. I mean, we finished. Was it 10 days or something?
Yeah.
Like that, in 2 different countries. And I always think that we go through that 10 days dry. All about fluids, nutrition, strength and conditioning, fitness, stability for the start of the season, core strength. And of course it gets, day after day all together. Just the release before we come home, like, right, lads, let's go and relax and have a few beers or a glass of wine.
But you didn't go with them, you let them go.
No, I went with them.
No, you went with us.
I just left earlier than them.
Yeah.
And left them my credit card so they can pay the bill at the end.
You're not allowed to pick England. If you don't say England, who's going to win the Euros?
Stephen, I'll leave that one to you first.
France. And I just think because of the quality they've got in the squad, the depth that they've got, I think they've got as much depth as England. Players who play at big clubs, manager who's been there, done it, won big tournaments. I just think, for me, they're still the favourites over England.
So you think them above England anyway? If I just said
I do,
who's going to win the Euros?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd agree with that. I think because France have done it before, we haven't. So, be a great final, wouldn't it?
Oh gosh, that'd be
I mean,
serious final, yeah.
Absolutely wonderful final.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think Stephen's right. The mentality of the manager who's been and done it before, and the players who've been and done it there before, would be a massive advantage on the day, I think. So, while it would be a great final, if you want England to really win it, we don't really want France to be there in the final.
No, true.
Okay, so we know that the Euro starts on Friday. Scotland take on Germany. What is your score prediction for that game?
I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah! Yes, I'll take that right now. Give me that right now, right now.
No, I think there's going to be a lot of build-up around the German team. I think they'll be a strong team. But I just think Scotland have got nothing to lose going into it. Well, I don't like that saying because they have got something to lose. Got a game of football
Well,
to
they've
lose.
got a load of fans singing them on them.
Yeah, but I just think,
You know what I mean?
I think how organised Steve Clarke has his teams and how regimented he has them, I think they'll be going to be very, very difficult to break down. And I think the adrenaline of being in the tournament, I think you've got key players in there like John McGinn, McTominay, Andrew Robertson. I think they'll be absolutely key to everything. I fancy McTominay to continue his run.
He was like 5th top scorer in qualifying or something.
scored
out of
7.
Top
everybody.
scorer at Man United, nearly.
Yeah. Scored 7 in the qualifiers.
It was
didn't he?
literally like Kane and Mbappe, like the big names were the only ones above him.
Yeah, and I just think he's going to pop up and grab on. Him or McGinn will score.
I hope so, because Scotland, yeah.
Man United nearly sold him to West Ham last year. He just refused to go. But so that's how important he came for Man United and Scotland.
Yeah.
What do you think the score prediction?
Well, I hope it's 1-1, but I just think it's a different. That's just a brilliant result to start with, like I mean, because obviously
right now.
host country.
Yeah.
They'll be under huge pressure to start. The German fans will think that Scotland's easy fodder. So hopefully they can frustrate and take advantage of what chances that may come their way, because they need to take them.
I take it right now because I've been trying to get my head around the qualifying, the best third placed qualifying. If we get a point off Germany, it puts us in really good stead to.
They need 3 or 4 to qualify, don't they?
Yeah.
To get out the group.
But yeah, Scotland to get out of the group, that is all I want. That'd be unbelievable. Okay, final question for today. A score prediction for England versus Serbia.
3-0.
Yes.
England, of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Stephen?
I'll go 1-0. I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be cagey.
Why?
We really.
I just think because they'll just sit behind the ball and frustrate. And I just think it'll just get to the point.
Right, but
Yeah, I hope it's 3-0. I mean, if England turn up and they are at the races, it should be 3-0. But I just think it'll just be very, very cagey. I think we'll dominate. I think we'll absolutely batter them, but I still think it'll just be a 1-0.
Do you think there'll be a media meltdown if there's a 1-0?
No, I hope not, because it's
they've
3
won
points.
3 points, haven't they? So
Exactly.
it's a clean sheet as well. I mean, whoever's going to win this, you see, I'll be repeating myself like I've done all season. The team will get to the final will be the one with the best defensive record.
Yeah, 100%.
So the England game is Sunday. We will record our next episode on Monday, so we'll get instant reaction to whatever happens in the England game. Stephen, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank
Best
you
of
very
luck
much.
with your coverage, with whatever teams you're doing for 5 Live.
Yeah, so that'll be, I'll get me stat pack out, get ready for that.
Very good.
Can't wait. Yeah, it'll be good.
Sam, enjoy the first weekend of the Euros.
I'm looking forward to it. Sat in front of. I have a 75-inch, so
What's your drink and snack of choice? What are you going to have?
snack of choice.
75.
I have a 75-inch to watch it.
Yeah,
75-inch,
yeah.
and I think my choice to start with would always be a cup of tea or a cup of coffee leading up to a beer around half time.
Ooh. What about snack?
Snacks, some crisps, that'll be fine for me.
Yeah, and I can.
Smoky bacon.
Oh, okay, lovely. Well, you enjoy that. There will be 7 games, maybe 8 games by the next time that we record. So we'll see you then. And thank you very much for joining us on another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill.